So let's have a very important discussion topic in Go functions. So we're just going to look at it. It's very important that you pay attention to this video and really understand what we're going to cover. So we're going to cover call by value and call by reference. Call by value and call by reference. This is a very important behavior in Go that is in that's not in some other programming languages. And if you don't understand it, you will spend hours upon hours debugging your code without knowing why it is behaving that way. Okay, so let's start. That remember that I'm on Udemy, so go to Udemy and search for my name, and you can watch my other videos. I'm also on YouTube. Go to YouTube and then follow my channel. I'm on YouTube as Dave Partner uh, TV, and also Brain Temple Tutorials. Okay, Tutorial TV. So you can check me out on these places. All right. I think I should just leave this here. Okay, so call by value. Call by value simply means that the function, if you change the value of a variable within a function, a custom function that you wrote in Go, the value outside that function, that same value outside that function doesn't change. Okay, it stays the same. The change of the value is only within the function. So let's say you assign x to 100 and you go inside the function and change it to 200 or 300, it stays uh, it stays 100 outside the function, but within the function you can change the value of the variable anyhow. But call by reference, if you change the value of a variable inside a function, it is changed even outside. So let's demonstrate this by using two identical functions except for minor differences. So bear with me while I write this code. First of all, let's create a function that we're going to call swap. Okay, and then this function does a simple thing, just switch the values of x and y. So it's switching the values of x and y. So x and y will be integers, so we have assigned them the integer, and the function will return an integer. And then let's declare a temporary variable. We're going to declare a variable and we'll call it temp. Okay, you can call yours anything, but you're going to see what I'm going to do with it. So do the switching. So it's going to copy the value of x, whatever we put in x, it temp will copy it. Okay, so we are going to save it in temp. So the value of x is now saved in temp. Now we can save the value of y in x. So we'll copy whatever we had in y and put it in x. Okay, now we copy whatever we had in x and put it in y, in temp, and put it in y. Okay, so we transferred value of x into temp, transferred value of y into x, and then transfer the value of temp into y. What this essentially does is it switches the values. All right, whatever we had in x will now switch to y, and whatever we had in y will switch to x. That's just what this does. Okay, now at the end we return temp. Return temp. Okay, simple function, right? Now let's use it. We're gonna use it this way. So let's declare the variable. You can say var a int. Sorry, before I continue, I would like to put these references here. References here. Okay. So var a is an integer, okay, and then var b is an integer, and let's assign a value to it. So let's say 200 and assign 100. Okay, so here we're going to say fmt printf. Okay, value of a before swap. So before we swapped it, let's just put, don't worry about what I'm doing now. You understand. I just want to print what we have in a. So we assign this, we're just printing it here. That's all for now. And we print that of b. Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead with swapping it. What do? We'll call the swap function. This function here, remember this function here, we're calling it here so that it swaps A and B. So we're passing A and B so that it can do its swap thing. Then we call the function value down here. So here, print value of A after. So I think this is pretty clear. We assign the value to two variables. We print those values, and then we call a function that swaps them. Then we print the values again and see whether swapping them here changed the value. Okay, so we want to know whether this A here would take on the value we gave it inside this function, or whether it's going to take on the value we gave it here. All right, good. So let's print this function and let's run it and see. So here I'm going to do a clear and I run. Okay, good. Now let's compare. The results are out. Let's compare. You see that the value of A before we did the swap is exactly as we expected. It has 100 and 200. Okay, so as we expected, we assigned 100 to it. So before swap, A is still 100 and B is still 200. Then we swap it and then we call it again. As you can see, A is still 100 and B is still 200, even though we have swapped it. So the fact that we changed the values of these values inside here did not affect the values outside. Okay, so these variables, if we call it outside this function, it carries the original values we assigned to it. Okay, so now let's write another code. Let's improve or change this swap function and try and call these values again and see whether it will change from outside. So now we have, this is called call by value. So we are calling this function by value. All right, now let's call by reference. Reference is the location in memory where this variable was saved. Okay, so now let's improve this function to deal with addresses. Okay, so this swap function, coming back here, we can see that we're gonna, here we can reference the actual address in memory. Okay, so just by adding this star sign, we're saying we're referencing the actual address location in memory, and this works. All right, so var temp, here we're referencing the actual address in memory. Same with this. Instead of just referencing the variable that is contained in an address, we are now referencing the address directly. All right, the location is like putting an orange in a box. The variable is the orange. Okay, but now instead of referencing the orange, we're referencing the box itself. Okay, so now we have improved this function to this. Let us now try and call this function. Okay, so I'm just gonna return this. Okay, no need for any return. Let's try and call this function now and run this. So when we're calling swap, all right, let's reference the location in memory. Okay, exactly like this. So this indicates a pointer to A. That is address of the variable. So when we are trying to pass this parameter into this function, this ampersand is telling it to go to this is a pointer. All right, so now we are done and our variable is ready, our function is ready to run. Let's run it again. I'm going to leave this result here so that we can compare with the next result. So here, okay, good. Now see what happens. Let me pull this up. It says the value of A before swap is 100. Okay, value of B before swap is 200 as expected. This is what we're reading now, as expected, but then we swap it. Okay, and then look at, we swapped it here. When we call those variables again, it is swapped, as you can see. Value of A after swap, which is this line, is now 200. Value of B after swap is now 100. Why? Because we went to the address, the pointer, and then did the change at that level. So when you're writing a function in Go, you should be mindful of this. If you want a variable to change outside the function, you can simply address the actual location in memory. Okay, you address it, and then it will change outside. Otherwise, if you write your function the usual way, it will not change outside the function. The value of the variables will not change. So don't forget to follow me on these platforms. I am on Udemy on Dev Partner, and on YouTube I am on Dev Partner TV and Brain Temple Tutorial TV. All right, see you in the next video, where we check out how to use functions in Go.